All I've done this whole time is run myself around in circles.
Run me self? Is that what he said?
Sometimes the English is
amazing right now.
I need a shower. Let's take a shower.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry, is that a rip in space-time in my shower?
What the fuck is that?
Oh,
That's a good question.
Finding a decent horror game for Halloween is kinda hard. There's plenty to actually play, but lots of it's kinda obvious. I like Silent Hill, I like Resident Evil, but when I want to really have a special experience, I have to look outside the AAA industry in favor of the indie scene. Now that's hard because indie horror games tend to suck, like, really bad. But thankfully, I found one that was just full of surprises. Enter the survival horror of Fobia, Saint Dinfna? Hang on. There you go.
Santa Dinfna.
What the hell is wrong with your language?
Lopez. Roberto Leche Lopez.
Roberto Leche Lopez.
Let's see.
The newest hero of the survival horror genre. There's something that this game does better. That's suspicious, but that's not nearly as suspicious as the opening of Resident Evil 7.
Oh yeah.
the fucking goat door, like heads of goats and cows you have to crawl under, and Ethan's just like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Now at the same time, that opening has you get your fucking hand sawed off.
I can't wait to celebrate.
Super cool. Yeah, Septembro. What are you doing, Septembro? I mean, you just live in Brazil and you're fucking rips in space-time just to manifest randomly. You're in your favela in Rio. There's a shootout between the police and the gangs, and oh man, just before you think it could get any worse, a rip in space-time appears in your fucking living room. Fobia is probably one of the best mixes of traditional survival horror gameplay and traditional survival horror puzzle solving I've seen outside of the new mainline Resident Evils. And even then, Capcom doesn't go this far. Uh-oh,
so
we do have to solve this, for real. Now I type into the thing, Enigma. Code will probably be... What do you mean, probably? It's a true love letter to survival horror, combined with the modern design trends of horror like its first-person perspective. And what's even more impressive was it was made by a small Brazilian studio, of all things. It's comfortably AA, in the sense that it sits between a straight-up super low-budget production and the obvious monetary bloat of the AAA scene. It makes a great use of its premise and its sheer dedication to recreating what made old horror games work so well. It is certainly rough around the edges, that's for sure. No game is perfect, and you could tell that Fobia was made on Unreal, to say the least. Thankfully, it's a good Unreal game. They put a lot of work into improving the visuals as much as possible, particularly the lighting. Couple that with excellent area and level design and an attention to detail I struggle to compare to anything outside an immersive sim, and you get an experience that's just full of potential if they can refine it for their later titles. People talking about this game are like, there's so many puzzles, it's kind of annoying. Which, that sounds like a good thing to me.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of puzzles. What's not to love?
That's how classical horror games are structured. You have action sections, horror sections mixed in with puzzles and navigation.
Thank goodness. Munitions. And one magazine.
$7 million gets you 7 bullets.
Kimber, 1911.
Yeah.
Fight the demons. Oh yeah. Hail to the king, baby. It has stuff like combat, which is somehow a novelty in the horror genre nowadays. Its shooting isn't anything insane, nor are its enemies, who are fairly easy to deal with, or even just to circumvent. But their inclusion definitely isn't the focus. It's more focused on the puzzles and the aesthetic of the area you're in. And puzzles there are. So many so that it's a little overwhelming. Alright, now here's a puzzle that'll throw you for the loop.
Alright.
Does not repeat. It is not long. The same number of letters as those eliminated in tip 1. Doesn't have the letter E. It starts with a consonant. Pick a name. And they're not just simple fetch the item affairs either. Now see, if it were a Silent Hill situation of, in here's a tragedy, art thou player or audience.
Yeah, well, an entire game of puzzles like that would probably
would be brutal.
Yeah. That would not be a game I could finish. But,
but they made that game.
yeah, I know.
They made that game. People pick that option thinking, yeah, I'm gonna beat Silent Hill 3. It's gonna be so cool. Many of them can be fairly complicated, trying to find a code or pattern for different objects, consulting your notes fairly often to make sure you're applying the right information, and what's even crazier is that a lot of them are labeled as optional puzzles. They're not even required to complete the game. They had enough that they were just adding them in for bonus exploration and gameplay, not just to push progression. See, being able to open everything is really nice, even if there's nothing. It's really quick, it's not wasting your time that much.
Yeah. It's basic interactivity. That would be in line with Condemned, where in Condemned all the monsters represent the people who lived and died in certain areas. So all the sewer monsters are all blue and waterlogged. The library monsters are all horrific burn victims.
There's an evil lunch lady.
Yeah, there's an evil lunch lady.
The evil lunch lady.
Yeah.
There's also the camera. What's with the geometry? Whoa! Now I know what you're thinking. Archibald, don't tell me this is an even worse Outlast clone. Don't worry, the camera is not a superfluous addition. In Fobia, the camera functions not as a light source, but rather as a navigation tool. While using the camera, the hotel changes form, revealing new paths and secrets which normally aren't there. The downside, of course, is that the camera's gross green filter makes it more difficult to see things, leaving you vulnerable if you're not careful, as well as requiring you to drop your weapon so you can hold it. It also takes up an inventory slot alongside your flashlight, which makes inventory management even more important. You'll want to search for little inventory expansions hidden around the hotel to try and get a few more slots. That's why the game is almost an immersive sim. Every drawer can be opened, items you pick up can be manipulated to some degree in the world space. There's a ton of attention to detail. Paintings in the hotel rarely repeat, and all the clocks in the building are still running, and they do accurately reflect how much time has elapsed since you began playing. It's this fun little diegetic timer to compare your runs. It does rank you at the end, of course, just like any good horror game. So we are now definitely in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa! Before you ask, there are no jump scares in this game. Nothing. I mean, like, this vignette is not leading up to a jump scare.
Good.
It is September 1920.
Mm.
Oh no, that's what they call sex. It's Friday. There's always time for fun. It's sex night. Let's dance.
What on earth? I can feel. What is this power?
Looks like an artifact from Stalker.
Some kind of weird device. So again, the question, what even is that? What is happening? A really nice little vignette. Combing the hotel for supplies and items tends to make up a majority of what you're doing, given that the game doesn't have obtrusive UI elements to tell you where to look for things. You need to be very attentive to your surroundings, which brings you back to observing these dense environments filled with all sorts of little nuances between rooms and floors. It's nice that they include the option to turn on and off stuff like objective highlighting, making for that proper survival horror feeling of wandering around aimlessly, checking every door just to find out they're universally locked. It forces you to actually pay attention to what you're doing. You have to actually use your brain a little bit to keep up with the game. The concentrated locale of the hotel itself is a horror trope taken to a managed degree. It's not insanely big, but it's large enough to take some time to traverse, but still small enough that it's easy to remember how to get somewhere. Sorry, is this plant growing out of blood? Do not use the green herb, it's toxic. Not to mention that later on, certain paths will change because of your chases with this game's equivalent of a Mr. X or Nemesis. Aquiles? Aquiles? I don't know. I don't speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. There he is. He's back. This guy's got a pretty good design, and should he catch you, he can really smoke you pretty quick. But given that we've all faced a few pursuers here or there, he's not that threatening. His presence is more of a wild card rather than something you need to be wary of 24/7. And one criticism I think is fair is he's kinda underutilized. He could have been made faster to make him more dangerous, or He could require more shots to stun, and maybe making him a permanent pursuer at some point in the hotel would have given him more of a role.
Okay.
Yeah, here it comes again. Oops. Yeah, nobody's perfect. Ew. What it do, monster? I got a machine gun, stay back. Ow, my soul! Sorry, I'm late. Kept you waiting, huh? Whoa. Alright. You know what I watched the other day for fun? Nostalgia Critic.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I just want to see what he was doing again.
Yeah? What'd he do?
So I watched, like, Prince of Egypt video.
Oh, yeah?
Stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
This is pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. It's 15 years later.
15 years later. Esteemed guest list, name and professions. Roger Liato, orthopedic surgeon. Ruggiero Linz Paiva, special forces.
Kind of odd. All their initials are RL.
Yeah.
Including your own.
You're right. You're right. Oh. Everybody's initials are RL.
Except for the one guy, the IT guy.
And within that puzzle is another puzzle. That's all the puzzles? Finally! I've been trying to solve this thing all day. I've heard a lot about the new Alan Wake. Some people say it's pretty good, some people say it's just alright. And that was the same like set of opinions that everybody had about the original.
Yeah.
Funny. Fuck you.
What do you want from me?
And Roberto's like, what are you doing? Get the fuck out of here. I'm so pissed.
I got better things to do than to deal with you.
I'm gonna deal with you, bitch. Get out, get out, get out. I've been exposed to the whole truth and I know exactly what I have to do. The gods were wrong.
Okay.
Jeez. What are you talking about, Christopher? You turn into some kind of eldritch abomination. Don't worry, Tone. Don't worry about it. I'm worrying about it, Christopher. I'm worrying.
Some lady from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel called Charisma Carpenter alleged that Whedon had abused his power on numerous occasions, calling him a vampire and casually cruel. Carpenter said that Whedon called her fat and asked, and he asked her if she was going to keep it upon learning of her pregnancy, and mocked her religious faith, and repeatedly threatened to fire her, which he ultimately did.
What an asshole.
And then a couple other Buffy actors went on to elaborate, said that working on Buffy the Vampire Slayer was extremely toxic. She said, let's see. One of them said that there was a rule on set preventing Whedon from being in a room alone with her. And then,
who made that rule?
I guess somebody.
It's like, what's the implication behind that?
Yeah, well, she says that his behavior toward her when she was an adolescent was not very appropriate.
No.
Yeah. And then there's a writer on Firefly who said that he thought being mean was funny. Making female writers cry during note sessions was especially hysterical. He actually liked the boast about the time he made one writer cry twice in one meeting.
Jeez. The story of Fobia is something I'm really surprised I got so engrossed in. I don't usually care all that much about who I'm playing as, let alone rooting for them to solve the mystery of what the hell is going on. But Roberto and Christopher's stories surrounding this mysterious sphere and the cult are genuinely engaging, just because they don't give any of those answers you'd expect in something like Resident Evil.
And I won't let you cross the bridge.
Oh, hello. Did you see that?
I saw that, yeah.
This is a problem.
Yeah.
I say we get out of here.
Yeah.
Answer me.
In the woods. Somebody jumped off that cliff. I like this. This is cool.
Yeah.
Still no jump scares. I say that.
Yeah, all the shadows phasing in and out of existence rapidly is basically a jump scare.
To me, a jump scare needs to be more in your face. An in-your-face disgrace.
Is that you?
Yeah.
They must. Are these the ghosts of the people who died in the mine? Maybe. It wasn't me. It was gravity that collapsed that mine.
Monster.
I'm not a criminal.
No, this isn't happening. This isn't. It's not real.
Not reality.
It's not reality. Not reality. Look at this guy. Wanted poster. They just put a soy jack in. Wanted soy jack. Dead or alive. Preferably dead.
You get paid more if he's dead.
Yeah, it's the only bounty ever where you get paid more for killing him. There's no real explanation for the strange time discrepancies outside of the endings, which themselves leave plenty to the imagination, and that's probably for the best. They probably knew that telling you everything would take away the magic of how mysterious everything feels. It's not aimless, but it just keeps its cards very close to its chest. I really do think that the game's story is what makes it so refreshing, even if it is a little bit of a mixed bag. The game is clearly trying to emulate elements from something like Resident Evil 7 or 8, alongside the mysterious cult reminiscent of the one from Silent Hill. And yet, despite sounding really basic, their inclusion is just intriguing when it's combined with the rest of the game. They're a cult, but they have this weird technological bent to them, and yet that doesn't really explain things like the monsters or the camera. It's careful not to explain everything to you in some big exposition dump right up into the ending, where it leaves plenty to the imagination, like I said.
Obviously, it's time to run into the woods like a madman.
Yeah. I can't believe it. Whoa. Things are getting a little funky now.
Yeah. It's darkening.
Harder to see.
Sepia tone.
Audio is distorting. Reality is shifting.
You're getting demonic red.
We're at the mine. It's a game with some real heart alongside some genuine talent, and for a small studio making their first game like that, them getting this close to the mark is impressive. And it's just a nice game. I have to turn my head all the way, but I have a headache. A book that tells you no tales, no... Oh, this is dumb.
No tales, no stories, no points. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Doesn't make any sense at all. That's what it's saying.
That's great. Pardon the rant here, but I think I've had enough of modern indie horror. It's not just the games aren't scary, which they aren't, or that they're only comprised of jump scares, which they are, but it's just the total loss of the craft as a whole. There are things that survival horror games do that just hit different because of their genre, and those things have become almost totally divorced from modern horror design that physically hurts. Old horror games had to have great level design, so you could get lost, but not actually get lost. You know where you're going, but you don't know where you're going. They use puzzles to space out the horror in combat, because always having an endless haunting dread is exhausting, and eventually just makes the game not that scary. Come on, Roberto. Stuff like that was just the expectation. You could do so much within that framework. You could make Resident Evil, you could make Silent Hill, you could make Condemned, you could make Fatal Frame, you could make fucking Dino Crisis. These games had more than just scares to admire or talk about. They were all varyingly unique with their twists on gameplay or tone, and Fobia is just like it. The devs are making a new title that I hope is interesting. Only time will tell, of course, but if they can keep up the pace with Fobia, tune things to be a little harder or a little more variety, I think they are really onto something then. If anything, I'm just happy to see a small studio make something they really cared about, and that I was able to care about it just as fervently. You can hear in the commentary we have that we're really interested in this game, even though it's rough around the edges.
It's like a giant MRI machine. Or, that's a giant fucking laser.
Oh, come on. Do you ever fucking give
Speak
up?
of the devil. That's pretty impressive. We don't do that. We don't care about games like that, even if it's an indie game that we're actually interested in. It elicited feelings that I don't think I felt in a horror game for a long time. And to be fair, I don't play a lot of horror games, but the fact that I felt it in the first place is notable enough. Well, we're coming to the end. What did you think? I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
It was a good experience from such a small studio.
Yeah, it shows a lot of promise for the future.
Whoa. I'm not showing you the ending of the game. I can't do that. That would defeat the whole point of making the video that's trying to get you to play it. Alright, listen, if you're watching this video right when it comes out, the game's probably still on sale until like the second. It's worth it. $15. 15 USD. It's good. It's good. Go buy it. Please. It's fun. Do it. It's not sponsored. I swear. Just play the game. Shit.
What a sorry state we're in.
No!